Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how are my snipers doing today? I hope you guys are doing fantastic. Listen, today we're going to be talking about the one and only Turbo coin. There's no new news, ladies and gentlemen, in terms of, from Turbo themselves. However, we got to talk about the price action. Before we do, we can see that we are almost at 112,000 followers. Guys, I believe Turbo will get to hundreds of thousands of followers when it does start blowing up, when there's going to be all-time euphoria. You will see for yourself, right? I know it's easy to say this, just to say this in general, but I've experienced this before where these coins, they blow up in bursts, right? You can achieve greatness within a month span when altcoin season's here, and it will be like literally 50 times more than what the whole lifespan of a coin achieved. It's crazy. It is crazy, crazy, crazy. Now, before we jump into the price action, we can see, ladies and gentlemen, that we are 151 in the world, right? We also click this, let it load. While we talk about this, we have 45 million volume in the last 24 hours, which is not bad because, we just kind of been accumulating sideways, ranging, and it's been the weekend. We have 375 million market cap, and yeah, it is looking very, very solid. We can see that we are actually kind of growing in holders at a decent rate, right? In my opinion, I do expect this number to burst up kind of fairly quickly when the time comes. Now let's look at the chart. We're going to analyze a few things because I've had this drawn out, right? Because this is what I believed was going to happen. So, here's the thing. We are accumulating, we are ranging. Well, what does that mean? What does that mean, right? So when something accumulates, ultimately what it does, it is preparing for a move, right? A lot of times you'll see a little fake out, and then that's usually the big confirmation, that it wants to start bursting up, which is why I have the chart, drawn out the way it's drawn out. Now, at this current moment, we never actually really broke below this range. Right, we never broke below the 0.0048 range, which I kind of expected to. But Bitcoin is pulling back up. Bitcoin was at around 107K. Now Bitcoin's almost at 110K. So we have to see, and we have to be patient. We did worst case scenario call out the buys at 0.005. Obviously not a financial advisor, but just saying, those were good areas to be buying and accumulating and dollar cost averaging, right? And you know what, like that, if anything, if Turbo just does start bursting through, well, we could say that, hey, we called the bottom of the last relevant range, right? Because this area over here is going to be the last relevant range. So, a good call out, but obviously we want to see how price reacts. One area that I am looking for is to see how Turbo is going to be reacting off of this price point and up in this imbalance. Okay, so here's the deal, right? We are overall very bullish, like extremely bullish, right? If I remove everything and we go back to the weekly candles, and we're going to go look at the indicator in a second, we can see the weekly candle was extremely weak, like really, really bad in terms of selling pressure, which is fantastic for us, right? When we go and we add the indicator that shows global liquidity, and we change this color, even though I changed it a million times to blue at this point, but it just keeps changing back. We can see, right? We talked about it before, so I won't go fully in depth about it, but we can see, we talked about the 91-day delay, right? And now here's the tricky part, right? We have been going down a little bit, and then we had a burst up. The reason why I point out this area is because if we take it from the bottom here and we go here, we can see we are at the 91-day mark. So it's this weekly candle. Now, here's the tricky thing, right? This is why I said Turbo is going to be pumping within the next week to two max last week, because either A, right, this candle right now, this weekly candle where we're at right now, the 91 days, is already going to be the first green candle that starts pumping, or it is going to be the final sweep, right? The final sweep before it recovers and pumps. Okay. Overall, you know, the bias is still the same. We are very, very bullish. This blue, right? This blue line is literally the global money, and we can see it's been rising. So if we are somewhere over here, and right, oh, well, I forgot it doesn't move, but right, if we are somewhere over here in terms of the money, and you know, we could see, sorry, once again, over here, right? We're over here in terms of money, and turbo is somewhere over here, right? If we expect to have at least two more massive pumps, and I mean, by the looks of this, we're going to be continuing to pump over the next couple of months, right? But if we are somewhere over here and there's going to be at least two more pumps, what does that mean for turbo? Well, we're going to be going up, right? It is very, very foolish at this point to be thinking that we are going to be having some type of next level retracement, which is why, you know, a couple of videos ago now, I said, you know what, guys, we will not be going back down to this range, right? This very, very key fundamental range for turbo. The reality is, right, it would have been a very, very high probability of it, you know, pulling back down to here if turbo, I mean, just didn't pump that hard, right? If turbo pumped maybe half of this, then yeah, at that point, probably would have tapped and gone. But we just decided to be, you know, the best coin that week, and we just pumped insane levels. So, you know, we are just kind of accumulating and ranging because we are preparing to burst out, right? We are preparing to burst out now, right? Let me just draw it once again, right? If once we start kind of closing above a certain point, right? If we go back maybe to the 4 hour, I would say once we kind of start closing above the 0.005906, then it's going to be very, very likely that like that's it, like we are ready to be bursting, right? We start closing here, then we're ready, because this is practically the last relevant resistance, and once we get above it, it turns into support, right? It goes from the roof to the floor, and then after that, ladies and gentlemen, we should be pumping heavy. I mean heavy, right? We probably might slow down around the 0.008, but in terms on the lower time frame, right, I see an order block here, which is a institutional candle, right? So the next pump should be going to 0.008788 area, which, I mean, damn, like that is going to be an insane pump of 60%. And of course, if you bought somewhere at the bottom of the ranges, like we were talking about, just to dollar cost average, then, you know, that's a nice 77% gain on your money, right? Very, very nice. So yeah, overall, I expect this to be happening. If it's not this week, next week maximum, right? Next week maximum. Overall, super, super excited for this coin's journey. I know this coin is going to do very, very well. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the start of greatness. Portfolio reviews, economic and global updates and news, frequent up-to-date technical analysis, and a very supportive community. Sell and buy calls and trading education is provided. If that sounds good to you, now is the time to act. Once the markets start moving, there is no I should have, coulda, woulda. Now is the time. If you want to take things to another level, we have the blueprint that covers everything from A to Z in crypto that you need. No fluff, no bullshit, just the most important news, fundamentals, and technicals to have you succeed in these markets.